I'm standing on the cricket pitch at Edwards Park in Concord, a suburb in the inner west of Sydney. It's here on this sacred synthetic pitch, one of the greatest ever sporting events takes place on one day in November that stops a nation. Concord takes its name from Concord, Massachusetts, in the USA, which was the site of the Battle of Concord, one of the first military engagements of the American Revolutionary War. Today, however, a different kind of war is evolving. This year will mark the 20th anniversary of a battle between two rival teams of elite athletes competing for the ultimate prize and honour of raising one of the country's most sought-after cricketing trophies, the Concord Cup. In the early 60s, the muddy banks of the Parramatta River, Concord, was not considered to be an ideal place to live and raise a family. In fact, many believe the high level of pollution from such major industrial sites as Bushells, Dulux Paints and the gasworks would affect their growing children. But, unfazed by the threat, some working class couples did move to the area and slowly but surely started to raise their families. Seemingly uninfected by the toxins around them, they gradually built a community from the industrial wasteland to the proud suburb it is today.
A great place to be. It's the best place in Sydney. Yeah. And since coming here, we've found that it's a great cricketing place, especially Riverview Street.
We arrived in Concord in the early 70s. Our boys were only young, and the good thing about our association with Concord, our kids were young, and so were the kids of the Johnsons, the Charltons, the Petersons, the people that we become friends with, which was all through the school. We become friends, then down the track become firm friends, good friends. As you know, I played golf with those three blokes particularly for nearly 20 years at Massey Park.
But having moved there, and especially when we moved into Riverview Street, just to find the street so much it had in common with where we came from in Wellington. It was a wonderful place to later on to bring up kids and to mix with some of the most friendliest people that you could find in Sydney.
Concord was a great suburb when you compare it to the likes of Cabarita, which was next door, and they were like our poorer cousins.
I can remember as a kid getting into cricket, we used to go down to Mortlake and play against the Coulson boys, the Brownies, the Prenders. We used to play at like the Concord Plumbing Supplies in their driveway. And the Bert Lewis Printers. The pitches were pretty good down there, and pretty hard, pretty tricky, and very competitive too. Those boys were pretty good cricketers. Johnny Coulson went on to play for the Magpies, you know, a good player, a good rep player. It was pretty good. And soccer, I can remember as a kid going down to soccer, playing for Concord. I played there for 21 years. And I got a photo at home on my computer of 1975 with me, Anthony Johnson and Johnny Coulson. You know, we're 5 and 6 years old. And here we are nearly 40 years later, still down at the same park, still playing. It's pretty special. Concord was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. I think we all had a pretty good education and a good standard of living, and we didn't obviously go to the 16-foot as much at Double Bay, or we didn't have the Mount Druitt type of lifestyle, but yeah, we all turned out pretty good, I think, mate. Yeah.
Concord was an interesting place to grow up. There was always lots of people, not a lot of talent. So it was good. As a youngster, there was lots of parks, lots of people around, good school, very highly academic school. A lot of people went on to some pretty senior positions from Concord High. Can't remember them, but apparently they did.
Our story begins in a special part of Concord known as Cabarita, an Aboriginal word meaning by the water. And it's here, by the water, we find Riverview Street, a quiet little tree-lined street with 24 homes. To many it would seem like any other street, but in fact it had a very special and unique secret. It was home to many generations of kids, from families such as Skinners, the Duckworths, the Farnworths, the Andersons, the Petersons, the Millses, the Broadheads and the Charltons, just to name a few.
I remember growing up in Riverview Street. There were some good times. We had some great times growing up there. It was a great street. There was a lot of families there, boys and girls. All the kids got on really well. There was always plenty of kids there to form two teams, and we used to play a lot of sport out on the road, which is a bit silly because it was a pretty coarse grit like road, bitumen with gravel on the top. So there was always some nasty stacks, but there were some great games, great sport, great times, street parties. It was awesome.
Well, it was an interesting period because it was the early 70s. The world was a lot different place than it is now. It was no computer age. Generally, the kids growing up in that era made their own fun.
You know, there were no video games, no YouTubes, no Xboxes. You know, a Wii was something we did behind the jacaranda. It was just straight home, straight out in the street playing cricket.
Being able to play cricket with so many other guys in the street, and everyone would just come over and say, "Hey, you want to play cricket?" And off we'd go and play cricket till the sun set at like 8 o'clock at night in summer.
It was no better, mate. There's always something going on. Good group of blokes. A lot of friends there. We always had some sort of game going on in the street. A lot of grazed knees and good games of sport.
You got a lot of dickheads in the street like usual, and then you got decent kids. So we had a lot of fun, and I always tell my kids about how good street it was. Yeah, there's always, you go outside, there's always somebody to play with.
You know, it taught me a lot, and I've now taken all the things that I learned living in that street with all those great kids that I grew up with. You know, I've brought it into the street that I live in now, and you know, and we have some great neighbours here. You know, in the same tradition as we had in Riverview Street.
Yeah, Mr. Dunlop living across the road kept the eye on the street for everyone. Caught a few blokes going to the toilet on their way home from a late night out. But yeah, it was a great street to grow up in, mate.
Riverview Street was the only street you could theoretically shut down, either play touch football, street cricket, fireworks walls over fences with 100-ball shooters.
Firecracker season around our street, far out, that was a hoot. We used to go up to Sam's, buy $20 bag of firecrackers, bring them home, chase each other up and down the street with the ballers. Used to get like the 8 ballers and 10 ballers. I remember Terry again chasing, Brett, Glenn and I up the street. We've come home in our new shirts. One of us has got a hole in the shirt. Mum blew up. She's gone up and given it to Terry. "What are you doing, mate?" Chasing us with the ballers. Yeah, firecracker season was a bit of a hoot around our street. It was just a great place to grow up, It was just great atmosphere. It was friendly, safe. We were out in the street all the time. That was really good.
It was the year 1993, and now being all grown up and missing the good old days of playing together in the street and the park, a few of the Riverview Street kids, and kids from some of Concord's more well-known families, such as the Johnsons, the Prendergasts, the Coulsons, the Churchyards and the Greys, decided they would come together and help celebrate a special day by playing a game of cricket.
I remember getting a call from Mick Mills. He was living down in Canberra at the time. He said, "Mark, I'm getting married. I want to come up to Sydney for a bit of a buck stay, and I'm bringing 2 mates with me." So Brett and I, we got together. We thought, what are we going to do? Mick's coming up with his 2 mates. Brett was thinking indoor cricket. We'll have a drink on the Saturday night, hit the club. Sunday we'll play indoor cricket. I'm thinking, indoor cricket, it's good. We're playing indoor cricket at the time, but we can't really have a beer there or a barbie. So I started thinking, well, what about we hire Edwards Park, and play outdoor cricket? We can get away with having a beer and a barbie, and it'll be a good day.
That was the start of it. That was it was Millsy's was getting married, and he wanted to do something where he could bring all his old mates all back together. So we thought, why not have a game of cricket like the old days? So we just got a heap of people to turn up. We had a big game of cricket down at Edwards Park.
And amongst that, there was about 5 of the older fellas, like myself and Warren Skinner and Barry Peterson and Dougie Prendergast and Harris Johnson and a mix of all Michael's friends to make up a game of cricket.
I think I played in the first game and I did glorious. I've just been reminded that my average was -1, but I was not a cricketer, so I think I was shunted to the umpire thing, and I was delighted.
I think the most memorable part of that game was the fact that everyone got together for a game of cricket, which was a lot of fun for the day. Bit of a few drinks and a bit of a barbie, and always remember Kent in the last ball of the day taking the big swing and getting out and losing the game.
Everybody got dragged down to Edwards Park and we played our part. As most of you know, I'm useless at the game, and but in saying that, I enjoy being there, and I enjoy being with all the guys and seeing them once a year.
I remember Warren Skinner took a cracking catch.
I think I was keeper, and I'm sure Warren was fielding in slips. I don't know who was bowling, but whoever was batting has got a thick edge. It's gone straight to Warren and dead set. He was standing in slips. He's holding a beer.
Standing there with a stubby in one hand, in my right hand, because I'm left-handed, so I had the stubby in my right hand. And the batsman, I never forget the look on his face after I caught the ball, because I caught the ball just like that, between the thumb and the forefinger. Right? The thumb has never recovered. But the look on his face of amazement and exasperation and, and if he had come across, he would have hit me with his bat, I'm sure.
It was a good day. I remember the team I was in, we lost on the last ball of the day, and I think everyone just had a terrific time catching up. A lot of us hadn't seen each other for years, so in that respect, it was a not so much the game itself, more the idea of getting together. I think that was the main thing I remember.